Good evening and welcome to the Posthumous Poetry Series, Part 29. Tomorrow is Father's Day, so I want to say Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. You have a rough job. I would never do it. God bless you for that. And for all of you whose fathers have passed, I hope you have a memory of him at the end, which was a good one. The last conversation my father and I had was probably the best conversation we ever had. It was the funniest conversation we ever had, I think, because it was really the summation of our life together. It was Christmas Day, and my dad was in a hospital. He didn't really die of anything per se. He just was getting old and his body was wearing out, and having the Mars virus from the hospital didn't help. So he was in the hospital on Christmas Day, and my brother Charlie and I went to see him. And my dad, for the past few years, had been living with Charlie, and Charlie and his wife Diane took really good care of him. Also, too, my father was a little foggy at this point mentally. But so we go to the hospital, and we Charlie comes in, and I come in, and we say Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, my dad. And my brother Charlie says, "My dad, do you know who this guy is?" Referring to me. And my dad says, "No." And Charlie says, "Well, that's your son, Vincent." And Dad says to Charlie, "Well, you're my son." And then Charlie explains to my father that he has four sons and three daughters. And at that point, my father turns to me and says, "How can this be?" And I just fell on the floor at that point. I thought, well, yeah. Um, that was my dad. All the laughs. I want to dedicate this poem tonight to my white goddess. Robert Graves tells us in the book White Goddess that the lair of the white goddess is littered with the jawbones and entrails of poets. And yet I jujitsu'd with her this week, but I wanted to dedicate this poem to her, but also more specifically to her dad, who was always a real sweet guy to me. And I always thought he was a sweet man. So that's for him. I used to hope that I could be a son-in-law. You know. Tonight's poem is called Endymion, Abdicating Eternal Youth, which at 18 meters becomes my father in a hospital bed. Homage to Dali. The title comes from Dali's painting, roughly titled Gala Contemplating the Madagascar Sea, which at 17 meters becomes a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, which is exactly what the painting is. First, you see Dali's wife from the back, with a nice ass, of course, watching the ocean. And then when you step back further, it's actually Abraham Lincoln. I didn't really discover that till like once I didn't have my glasses on. I saw the painting and I saw Abraham Lincoln on the corner of my eye, and I freaked out and realized that was the painting. Anyway, this is like a meditation on, you know, my dad, I guess. And it really comes out as a meditation. I was just noticing that just you ever try to calm your brain down and calm yourself down in the middle of something like, the passing of your parents or children or something, how difficult it really is. Or really how difficult it is on any day to calm your mind down, especially. But this poem also was part of an anthology that was published in Pittsburgh along these rivers, and it was nice of them to include this poem. in that collection. And Endymion, of course, is one of the characters of mythology who was granted eternal youth and eternal sleep, which on the surface seemed like a good deal, but he never got to, you know, the youth was wasted a long time ago because he was always asleep. He was watched over by Diana and her hounds and things like that. Somehow I saw my father as an Endymion character. I don't know how that works. If anybody wants to write me through YouTube and discuss that with me, I would be glad to do that. But anyway, Endymion abdicating eternal youth, which at 18 meters becomes my father in a hospital bed. Homage to Dali. Last day on loan from summer before the loaming of autumn. Bathroom window closed before showering. Wisdom of washing my sweaters last Friday, apparent this Friday. Thoughts of money, work, or loved ones are vexations, but so are enlightenment, wisdom, and buddhahood. Fear verging on excitement. Astronomers have discovered an invisible galaxy mostly made of dark matter, which makes up about 23% of the universe. Stuff of stars, planets, people contribute 4%. The rest of the universe is driven by an even more mysterious thing called dark energy. The owner of the Indianapolis Colts, Jim Orsay, bought the manuscript of On the Road for $2.43 million. The end of the 120-foot scroll, eaten by a dog. In Italy, it was read non-stop. Currently, it's on its way to Las Vegas. The Welkin, Siebelin. The myths are meaningless until one sees Endymion abdicating the promissory of youth aeons ago in a hospital bed, dreaming in the gloam.